Today was our final meeting of the Governance Commission. We started this work about 6 months ago. Lots of time and lots of commitment on the part of the commissioners to get to this point of having a final report. And today this commission approved the final report that will now go to the state legislature January 12th.
And what are the major recommendations in the report?
Well, there were four major areas, a total of 21 recommendations. They are all significant recommendations. Just to highlight a few, we're recommending that the governance structure of our higher ed system be clarified so that the roles and the responsibilities of the various entities, the management boards, the coordinating boards, are clearly understood so that there's a clear ability to hold the appropriate institutions and boards accountable for performance. We also talked about tuition and financial aid, a decoupling of TOPS, for example. There's also a recognition that we need to make a stronger commitment when funding is available to GO grants. And we also talked about articulation and transfer, the need to make sure that in our community college system, there's an ability to work your way through a transfer degree and then move on to the four-year colleges.
If all the recommendations are approved as written by the legislature, how will this improve higher education in Louisiana?
Well, it would be very clear to everybody that the Board of Regents would be the ultimate or the authority mostly responsible for the performance of higher ed. In collaboration with our systems, there would be a better budgetary process, where there would be a clear responsibility on the Board of Regents, and then an ability for the Board of Regents to see that the budget was followed as it made its way through the system to the various institutions. All of the recommendations, we believe, would improve the performance of higher education and would also, I think, add to the ability of our students to be successful.
One of the recommendations also moves the power to increase tuition from the legislature and moves it over to the higher education boards. What advantages do you see in this area?
Well, we're moving away from our institutions being funded mostly by state funds to institutions being funded mostly through tuition. And so in order to give those institutions an ability to respond to the market changes that are occurring, we believe that we need to move tuition authority to the institutions with collaboration from the systems and the Board of Regents. It will give us an ability to be more market responsive, and we think that that would be a positive thing in the governance of a higher education.
Is this more in line with what other states are doing?
Yes, indeed. As we heard from our experts, a lot of our recommendations were based on best practices, and yes, this is aligned with the best practices of other states that show high performance.
After studying higher education in Louisiana for several months now, what are your impressions?
Well, I'm very impressed with how far we've come. There's a lot of talk about the changes that are necessary, but when you look back 10 years and compare where we were 10 years ago to where we are today, you have to be very impressed with how much progress that we've made. Matter of fact, we have heard from our experts that there are a lot of practices that we are doing now in higher ed that are being duplicated in other states. So other states are looking to Louisiana for the work that we are doing and the changes that we're making in higher ed. These 21 recommendations, though, will keep us moving forward and will help strengthen our post-secondary education system.
Will the Governance Commission be involved in lobbying the legislature once the session starts to approve these recommendations?
Absolutely. We do not want this report to sit on a shelf. All of these commissioners feel very passionate about the recommendations. We want post-secondary education to improve, to be even stronger, to be even better. We want our students to be more successful. And so we plan to advocate and we plan to reach out to legislators and others to see that these recommendations are implemented.